Welcome, everyone, to my new show, D's new show, D's Top 10. First show, going through top 10 Spider-Man books in my collection and top 10 Spider-Man books in the collection of my good friend, Kavi from Comic Books NYC. Dotta, what's going on?
What is going on, George? Well, I am being pummeled outside by a blizzard right now, which is the best way we could ever do this first episode, is to be freezing cold outside, but have so much Spider-Man heat around me that I'm sweating right now. Like, that's
beautiful. Keep you warm.
Yeah, keeping me warm right here. So I'm excited, man. I've never been asked to rank my own collection within a single subset or category. And as easy as I thought that was going to be 3 weeks ago or whatever, when we were first talking about this, it was really hard. it was not easy. So
well, I've just had you ranking shit all year long. Like your top 5 favorite covers. It's hard, dude. You loved that. I remember that. So all right, real quick here, let's say our respects to the chat. My man JP's Budget Collecting was on here giving me advice, telling me that I should not have Scarlet Spider in there, which is interesting, which I might need to redo my list real quick. Hold on.
Just super quickly, handle it.
All right, we're good. Thank you, JP, for the advice. Geeks popped in. He's going to have to catch us on the replay.
What's up, Geeks?
Unruly throwing up a peace sign. I'm not a fan of that. I'm more into war. Got this handsome man right here with D's nuts. Sam I Am, my BFF. What's up, dude? For those that don't know, Sam I Am became my BFF because we both like Superboy Prime.
Yeah.
And that is that's really where that comes up. Jaguar, thank you so much for joining.
Sam I Am became my BFF because he was like a lot more of a calmer person to hang out with at Boston Comic Con versus Kenny and Lord Vasco. So,
oh, dude, I can totally understand. Like, and Kenny's great to hang out with, but you know, sometimes like if it's just like constant balls to the wall energy, having a calmer influence once in a while can be kind of cool. So
Sam's a chill guy. I like Sam.
All right, Man Cave is in the house. Man Cave, he's got some Spidey heat. Yeah, my man AA Ron in the house. Welcome to the show, AA Ron. Mr. Gretzky made it. Thank you so much, man. All right. Well, we've got everyone in the chat. Chat is closed. No one else may enter. So real quick here, this is my first show doing this. We're just going to, me and Kavi are going to bounce back and forth. Welcome, Damers. Welcome. Even though you're late, welcome. I don't care if you're late. I'm just fucking with you. But we're going to bounce back and forth. I'll show my 10th favorite Spider-Man book, then Kavi will go. And we'll bounce back and forth until we get to number 1. And then stay tuned after we get done with that list. We are going to probably have a couple of honorable mentions. And I'm going to randomize that Spider-Man booth box. So that is the agenda.
That's an appropriate giveaway.
Yeah, I thought so too. But even in the next show,
what if there's no Spider-Man books in it?
That could happen.
That could happen.
But you know, but in the next,
what's up, Jimmy? Jimmy's in the house too.
Jimmy's in the house. What's up, dude?
And
yeah, in the next episode, it will not be about Spider-Man, and I'm still going to give away that Spider-Man booth at the end of that episode.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, but hey, I'm going to get it started here. My number 10 book. Let's do it like this. Man, I had a tough one. This is a tough one here. I decided to go with an homage instead of the original. I went with Spider-Geddon #1, done by Philip Tan.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I like that one. That's the video game suit?
Yeah, so and that's kind of what did it for me is the Spider-Man video game is one of my favorite Spider-Man stories ever.
Yeah, that's great.
I love this pose. And I kept going back and forth on it. I got this from Houdat in an auction, came back in 9.8. And yeah, man, it's just one of my favorite books. I actually have had this hanging up in my office for the last couple months, and I brought it home today so I could show it tonight. So, but yeah, Spider-Geddon #1 is my number 10.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I since this is a real show, I half expected you to have like a number 10 like icon pop up on the screen.
Dude, that's we're gonna build to that.
We're building to that. This is the test pilot right here.
Yeah, another episode. We're gonna have graphics, sound effects, party streamers.
So that's what my time is worth. It's to figure out the show, and then everybody else gets the real deal show. Like that's how it always is with me. I'm always invited like early on. I paved the path. Look at Comigories. TM Don Dotta, by the way. John, you're gonna be hearing from my lawyer. Anyway, all right.
Yeah, it must suck to always be picked first.
All right. Which number are we on?
Oh man, we're on number 10.
We're on 10. You gonna big screen me? What are you gonna do?
I'm thinking about it.
Okay. All right. So some of you already know my collection and you're expecting some of these books in certain positions in my collection. And like I said earlier, it's hard. I've never actually sat down and like ranked my own books, like overall. I've never sat down and ranked my own books within a certain category. So I'm just bad at doing this. So if you are annoyed by any of my decisions, just know that I had to go through my own process, right, to figure out this list or this order. So at number 10, I'm going with Amazing Fantasy 15. First appearance of Spider-Man, Peter Parker.
Man, I'd have put you first if I knew that was gonna be. Hell yeah, dude.
So okay, so just bear with me a little bit on this, okay? I almost debated not including this book on the list because it's a 0.5, right? So it's the lowest possible condition or grade for this, mega key that you could get. And it has missing pieces on the inside, missing pages. But what makes it kind of a cool 0.5 is it presents super well, right? For a 0.5, the cover presents well. And the pages that's missing on the inside has nothing to do with the Spider-Man origin story. So it's after the Spider-Man story. So if you know anything about the Amazing Fantasy or Amazing Adult Fantasy title, there were other stories. There were multiple stories. So this has the entire Spider-Man story in full, plus, the front cover, the back cover, etc. So it still is representative of the entire origin / first appearance of Peter Parker. Now, if you've never actually flipped through a copy of Amazing Fantasy 15 or you don't have a facsimile, I brought out this reprint copy. What's cool about this particular reprint copy is that they used a scan of an actual original AF-15, right? So this is not like one of those high quality, glossy, modern Marvel reprints. This is like the actual scan of a real copy of AF-15.
Very cool. Okay?
So after page 12, right here, that's where the story ends. You have, with great power comes great responsibility. What I'm missing is this weird boys, men, my secret new whatever Dynamethod ad, and then these pages from the backup story. So to some degree, this copy is a project book for me. I would love to track down the loose pages at some point, marry that portion of the backup story and complete this. I think it would be a 2.5.
Yeah.
So I could potentially turn a nice profit on this as a project book down the line. But there's also a great kind of sentimental story about how I got this book, the journey I had to go on to find it, and close the deal on this, which I've told before on my channel. I don't want to take up too much time on one book, but
it's a big book. Go for it.
Yeah. So I had suffered a serious foot injury. Okay, let's just say that. I was wearing a boot. I could barely walk. And I almost didn't go to the particular convention. This was a convention in Philadelphia. So I almost just didn't go. And this was in 2018 at some point. Okay, I think fall 2018 or maybe fall 2017. It's one of those. And I ultimately decided to hop onto a bus and go, essentially hobbling around this entire convention. And I was one of the first people on the floor. I immediately, within the first 10 minutes of being on the floor, located this book, had a conversation with the dealer, had a back and forth, had a dialogue, and then kind of kept developing that relationship through the next 2.5 days, right? And by the end of it, we came to an agreement where I didn't go home with the book, but we came up with some terms, right? There were multiple pieces to that deal. And the takeaway was I was going to pick up the book at New York Comic Con, which was like a month later, right? So at that New York Comic Con is where I closed the deal, finished the transaction, and walked home with this particular copy. And I'm proud of that because I was super injured and I still kind of just like dealt with the pain and proceeded forward. And that's how it turned into this book, you know? So it's kind of one of those like stories of like perseverance, but it's within comic collecting, which is kind of interesting. Right? So,
dude, superheroes have to persevere all the time. So that's
exactly
very, very fitting. We've had a lot of people join us here. I want to run through some of that.
Guys?
We had Bake the Snake join us. What's up, Bake? We've had Comic Mag Musings joined us. Burke, Family 54.
Yeah, you know all about those adult fantasy books.
Super Russ came in. Other people. I'm trying to find you.
Other people.
I thought I said the chat was closed and people just kept coming in.
There's a Spidey fan in here.
Yeah, Spidey fan. Hola, what up, brother? Yeah, man. So thank you guys for joining us. We had our first big upset of this list. AF-15 was not number 1; it was ranked number 10, which makes me nervous.
Well, we'll see.
Number 10.
We'll see.
Yeah. All right. So my next book is way better than that book because it's number 9, and I've got The Amazing Spider-Man number 100.
Oh, I love that book, dude.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely love this book. Found it raw. Got it pressed by our main man, DS Comics. He took care of the pressing for me. Got an 8.0 while we were at C2E2. I submitted this. So got the really cool Spidey label on there. And yeah, man, love this book. Great story. I think he grows his other 4 arms out in this book, which is really cool. And yeah, man, it's in the next issue you get Morbius. So
I just love that sort of like the world of Peter Parker floating heads, but in that like negative black, just almost like chalkboard version. Like it's just a classic cover.
Oh yeah, John Bermuda does the cover on this.
Bermuda Senior. It's awesome.
And yeah, man, beautiful book. I love.
Spoiler alert! I didn't include that book in my top, or my honorables, but it was in that list. It was in that maybe getting into that. It was like I was tempted to sneak it in. I love that book.
Absolutely. No, I was. This was an easy one. I told Kavi before we got started here, 9 through 1 was an easy pick for me. 10 was a tough one. So, but yeah, number 9 on my list. No real perseverance story. I didn't have to battle a radioactive spider or go to 2 different comic book conventions with only 1 leg. You know, I paid for something on eBay and I sent it to a dude to squish the shit out of it. And then I sent it to CGC and they put it inside plastic. So number 9 on my list.
Fair enough. I love that cover, dude.
Hell yeah. Don Dotta, what up, man?
It's been homaged so many times by other franchises and stuff. So.
Spider-Man is such an homageable character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a non-traditional pick for me, I would say, and part of me debated not including this book, but I ultimately I decided to include it at the number 9 spot.
Two Brothers, what's up, everyone?
What's up, guys?
Oh, and who that joined us?
Oh, and I see Stay Puff. Nice. Right. Jeff Schultz. Good to see you guys. Schultz season here. All right, so the book I'm talking about is Marvel Team Up number 111. Okay, and I included it because this is my only pedigree book. So I only own one official CGC recognized pedigree book, and that's this book. It's from the Western Pen pedigree. So this is Marvel Team Up number 111, 9.8. So not the typical Spider-Man book from this like late bronze, early copper book that you're used to seeing. But it's super special to me because not only is it a 9.8 for like a 40-ish year old book, but it's from that Western Pen pedigree. And it's a Herb Trimpe cover, actually, on Spider-Man, which he didn't do many of.
See, now you have an interesting pedigree book there, because one of the things I usually hate about pedigree books is they wind up very often being of low grade or lower grade than what you can normally find if it wasn't a pedigree. And
yes and no, like not in all cases. In the case of Western Pen, it's a very high grade pedigree collection. It's one of the, I think, more sought after pedigrees as far as like condition. So
yeah, well, for me, I wouldn't want your pedigree if your pedigree was a bunch of raw books.
Right, but like another example is Mile High, right? Like the condition of those books are pristine. Like even the Golden Age books in the Mile High pedigree are super high grade, you know?
Yeah.
Well, because that's primarily a Golden Age pedigree collection. So yeah, that's my number 9.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, now we're on to number 8. And I'll just flip the screen here. I love how that works.
Yeah, it's so easy.
Yeah. Another book from my 100 era that I just showed. We got ASM number 121. The Death of Gwen Stacy. Sorry for the spoilers. The book is rather old, so you should be okay. But hell yeah, man. Got another one that I had submitted at C2E2 2020. Another one pressed by DS. And, you know, for books in the early 70s, like 8.0 is a beautiful grade in my opinion.
Agreed, man.
Absolutely love that grade. I mean, I'd take a 9.8, but you know,
I have the part 2, the 122 in an 8.5, and I'm fine with that condition, like for that era, you know.
Absolutely. So yeah, absolutely love the book, and it's just a classic cover, man. Love the yellow covers are awesome. It's got a
classic cover, but to an even larger degree, classic story, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, boom, man. Number 8. Now, speaking of number 8, Kavi, he is going to tell us about his number 8 book right now.
Okay, here's all right. So here was my, I guess, way to slip in a sentimental pick into this top 10. You know, I was having a chat with George backstage before we went on live that that every person is going to have to identify their own top 10 in their own way, right? Like some people look at value, some people look at sentimentality, like what does it mean to you in like the course of your life, right? Other people look at like art, right? Where like, is it your favorite art? Other people look at story, right? And I kind of tried to look at a little bit of all those things, right? To solidify my top 10 Spider-Man books. And I had to have one sentimental pick in there, you know, that was more directly related to my life and like a book that means something to me to that end. I almost, like every piece of me really, you know, thought I would choose ASM 36, you know, the black cover, the 9/11 book, you know, with the Bagley and Hannah remarks or whatever. That's going to be in my honorable mentions. Spoiler alert. I went with this instead as my sentimental pick. So my number 8 is this issue of Spider-Man 94 that was red label verified at the time. I got to send it in for a reholder now that they give yellow labels out, signed by Stan Lee. And, you know, this isn't a key issue or anything. It's a John Romita Jr. Spider-Man. I now own 2 pages of the interior of the original art from the interior of this issue. You know, it came with the COA there from the Las Vegas Comic-Con people. So I got this at Las Vegas Comic-Con. And, you know, I needed to also show, I think, a book signed by Stan Lee. I have a few, but this is the only one that I think made it into my top 10. Others are, I think, in my honorable mentions, or they're not Spider-Man related, so I'm not going to show any non-Spider-Man related. But this is, I mean, I've told this story on a couple different channels, on Comic Core, my own channel, but this book is a reminder of somebody that is gone too soon, essentially, you know, like, you know, a friend / somebody who inspired me and helped get me back into comics and, you know, this culture in general. So it's just a very meaningful book from like a sentimental standpoint. So I've even said before, like every other book in my collection, besides AOK's, if I needed the money, it's on the table to sell. Like there's no, you know what I mean? Besides AOK's and besides a book like this, like there's a 1 or 2, maybe 3 books that fit into that. Like I just will not get rid of it. It's not an AOK necessarily, but it's a reminder of something that means a lot to me. So of somebody, you know, not just Stan Lee gone. Yeah. You know, rest in peace, Stan Lee, the man, but also to the person that I'm talking about. So, yeah, so that's my number 8 pick. A little bit more of a heart, you know, a pick from the heart, I guess.
Hell yeah, man. All right. What are we on now? Number 7?
7.
All right. So my number 7 is ASM number 33.
I love that book, man.
I absolutely love this book. If you ever get to read this story, it's one of the more classic Spider-Man stories. They did a slight homage to it in the Spider-Man Homecoming movie.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic. And you have to read the story before it too, the book before it, but it's an amazing book. I got really butthurt when I used this as an underwater cover.
I remember that.
And
on The Hunt, right?
Yeah, because underwater was the subject that I was not given until the day of the hunt. And this book was under 2 weeks in my collection. It qualified, and there is water over him. He is underneath it. Mm-hmm. Who dat had my back on that in the chat. It wasn't enough to pull out the victory, but it's still.
I love that book. That's a great condition for that cover. It's a book that I've had in my PC several times, maybe 4 times, that I currently do not. So it's a book that I'm looking to get back at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But if I had it in the collection right now, there's a chance it would have been in my top 10 also. So
absolutely. No, this is just one of my favorites. And I think I first heard of this book from the YouTube channel Variant.
Variant Comics?
Yeah, Variant Comics. And he called it like his favorite Spider-Man story. And it made me want to go read it. So I read it digitally. And yeah, man, it was absolutely amazing and made me want to get the book. So there it is. Number 7.
Good pick.
Oh, by the way, while you were talking about...
Was that number 7 or number 6?
Oh, that...
I don't even remember. Starting to lose track here.
That was number 7.
Okay, that was
while
7.
You were talking about your last book, our good friend of the channel, Comic Head 84, joined us.
Oh, what's up, Penny?
We're up on the big screen. We're not being watched on a cell phone or a laptop or a tablet. No, we're on the fucking TV, and he's got a roommate, so that's a big ass deal. So thank you for joining.
What's up, Kenny's roommate?
All right. So now, Kavi, Don, your number 7, please.
So we're not skipping it like originally planned.
Yeah, we were going to skip number 7 in honor of the boy who used to have 7
right
on YouTube. He still has 7 kids, but he's not on YouTube anymore. But yeah,
all right,
we're good.
Okay, so I just this. I think this book not only provides some nostalgia to maybe some older collectors. This came out before "quote unquote" my time, but it's not in a Silver Age book, so it's kind of somewhere in between, And it's an adjective that's become synonymous with Spider-Man just as much as amazing, and that's spectacular.
Oh.
So this is Spectacular Spider-Man #1 from the ongoing series, 1976, at a 9.8 white pages.
Hell yeah.
Yep. So not a key issue, but a #1 of one of his solo titles. Obviously, Amazing was his first, then Marvel Team Up, and then this was his third ongoing series. So,
dude, that tarantula dude with them spikes on his feet, what a bullshit dude to fight, like
yeah. I mean, I always like that Sal Buscema cover.
Yeah, I
like Sal Buscema's Spider-Man work in general. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So finally got this at the best condition or best grade I could possibly have it in the collection. So I'm happy about that.
Oh, yeah.
Number 7.
All right, now this is where I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think me and Kavi's list may start to have a fork in the road a little bit.
Okay.
I consider this character to be Spider-Man as well, and it's not Ben Reilly, it's Miles Morales.
Oh, okay.
And for me, I think this was such an accomplishment of writing to make a new Spider-Man that is not Peter Parker, that could also be equally as amazing and spectacular and be Spider-Man. And he goes by Spider-Man. Even now that he's joined the 616, Earth 616, he's still known as Spider-Man. They may call him the Runt Spider-Man or whatever, but he's Spider-Man. And this was an important series for me to read because I was really close to writing Brian Michael Bendis some hate mail over his handling of Superman. But reading this run, and I read it way late. I read it like this year. It was like, wow, okay, he's done some good stuff.
Well, yeah, Ultimate Spider-Man is one of my favorite all-time Spider-Man runs. Like, I almost debated putting Ultimate Spider-Man #1 in my top 10, but it's going to be in the honorable mentions. But I love that whole run, and I thought Bendis did a great job with the introduction of that character in general. I thought it was good.
Yeah. And no, this is not the previews cover.
No, not the previews.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous to me that we even have to say that or have that disclaimer, frankly, but that's a whole other show.
Don't get me wrong. I would take it because of how valuable it is. But to me,
should take it versus spending money on it is a whole other debate.
Exactly. So, but yeah, no, you're right, Man Cave. He was about to get a lot of expletives in my email that I was going to send him. It was going to be really hate-filled and not good. Not really threatening so much, but it would be enough to get me on a couple watch lists, But But reading this, I was like, wow, okay, Bendis knows what he was doing with the right character, and this is proof of that. So, Ultimate Spider-Man #1, 9.8 CGC. That is my number 6.
Number 6.
Now, Dotta, I'm sure you picked out a number 6. What would that be?
I did pick out a number 6. So sorry if I'm giving too much reasoning or whatever before I show the book, but
it's all good.
I had to have one of the Mary Jane key, I have them, but to include all 3 of them in the top 10 would eliminate too many spots for other things that I wanted to include, right? So I thought to myself, okay, which of them to me is the big one, right? Which is the one that for me is like the book where I think of Mary Jane. Like, you know, you've got her cover appearance, you've got her first like mention, you got her first, you know, cameo with the famous panel, then you got the first full, and ultimately I had to go with the Face It Tiger issue. I just had to, like, that's the one for me. You know what I mean? Like when I think of the character when I think of the introduction of the character, I think that's where my head goes. So Amazing Spider-Man 42, 8.5, off-white to white pages, and Mary Jane Watson's face reveal for the first time in cameo on last page. Also, second appearance of the Rhino. Let's not forget his first appearance in the prior issue of ASM 41. But, I mean, one of the most iconic panels, if not, you know, the most iconic, you know, female introduction character panels ever, right?
Face It Tiger. That is
it's massive. So I had to include it, and I have it in the 6th spot. So, and I love this copy. I've had this book so many different times, so many different conditions, and this one might be the one that I settle on. Like, you know, I think I'm kind of done upgrading this one, but never say never, you know, because I've said that before. I've said that before on this same exact book, and I upgraded it. So, yeah.
It happens.
It happens. Yeah.
I love that pick, and the chat was not mad with that pick either. So very, very good. All right, I think we're on our top 5 coming up here. So this one is not even a Spider-Man title, but it's key because of Spider-Man. So I had to go with my Secret Wars number 8 in a nice. You know, and I had a newsstand copy. I gave it away in my top, you know, favorite covers competition that I did earlier.
I gave away my newsstand copy to Mr. Miracle in my 250 sub contest way back today. So
I will tell you that when I decided to buy a slabbed copy of this book, I decided not to go for the newsstand, and not because of the value and whatnot. I just really like having the Spidey head at the bottom.
It is cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
because it's black. You know.
Yeah, it fit perfectly. So
for sure,
definitely was, you know, willing to. If I liked the newsstand one more, I would have actually gotten that one. But I sought out the Spidey head version of it, and you know, we were talking about it earlier. It's another one of those books that gets homaged a lot, and this was the first of that. I've got one of the other homages right up here, but
I mean, when you think about it, Spider-Man related books have the most, like, quote unquote famous covers of any particular line, so the chances of them being homaged is just ridiculously high, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, we're joined here by our good friend of the original Art Hour.
What's up, Tony?
Tony NY Jr. Thank you so much.
You missed some heat here in the first 5 rounds, brother. You're gonna have to catch up.
Well, the last couple rounds should be pretty good as well.
That's true.
Now
we'll see.
To kick off your top 5.
Okay, so some of you might accuse me of cheating a little on this, because I would say this is a major Spider-Man title key, but it's more known for being a major first appearance of a character that goes on to have, I guess, a lot of his own books, right? So, you know, whether you agree or disagree that this belongs in a Spider-Man book list, I think it does. And it's, you know, for me, it's just one of the best books in my collection, and it's an Amazing Spider-Man book, so I had to include it. So yeah, 129. I think people are guessing it already. Right, cheating. But first appearance of the Punisher, 9.4.
That is, I'm so jealous of that book. That was, I remember you had some envy in your soul when you saw me get my X-Men, and then you went and got an X-Men and that one at the same time. But dude, I was so happy you got that book.
It wasn't envy, dude. It was.
You were happy as hell for me. I know. I'm just playing with you. But I accept that to be in your top 10 list. That is definitely.
Yeah, it would have been weird to just have this as an honorable mention,
Absolutely.
I think so.
Nope, yeah. It belongs in the list. If I had that book, it would have been in my top 10 as well.
All right.
That's
good to hear that backup.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Very cool. All right, so now this is number 4 for me, and this is another one not as cool as Punisher, obviously, but first appearance of a character, and I've got ASM 361 and a 9.8, and this is one I was so proud of it. It was a raw book in my collection.
This is number 4 we're on? Number 4?
Yeah, number four here. 3 left after this. So, but yeah, man, first full appearance of Carnage, and I was able to, I submitted this one raw and got it back in a 9.8. Just love the cover, and yeah, man, Carnage is definitely a bad.
I love that book, and if you know anything about me, I'm a big fan of the Carnage character as a villain in ASM. It was another book that I toiled with, where I was like, do I include this? Like, what do I bump out if I do include it? And ultimately, it made it to my honorable mentions. I don't have it in a 9.8. Maybe if I had it in a 9.8, it would have made it, but I have it.
Definitely helps.
Yes, 9.4 129 was my number 5.
And then I did the reholder at C2E2 and had the Carnage label put on there, which I absolutely love. And yeah, man, that's my number 4.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah, we're moving along good.
Yeah, we're nice pace here. Enough time for honorable mentions. I like it. All right, cool. All right, so this one, I don't know that this is a surprise. I kind of there was a little bit of a struggle on where to place it, but I knew it would be in the top 10 somewhere. I ultimately landed with number 4 on this, just because I really, really think it's cool to have a villain more known for his I guess appearances in Fantastic Four show up and to be in Spidey, and to have this issue be his first crossover, his first appearance outside of the FF title. So we're talking Amazing Spider-Man number 5, 4-0. So first Doctor Doom appearance outside Fantastic Four.
Oh, that's so cool.
And any 1 through 10 Spider-Man book is great, and I have a few, so it was hard to not include all of those in the top 10, or even in the honorable mentions. I left a bunch of them out of the honorable mentions also. It's just when you're left with 10 choices for Spider-Man, and I have 400 something Spider-Man books, of which maybe 50 or 60 of those are slabs. It's hard to choose. It's really hard. So that's that. I went with that from number 4.
TJ, welcome to the show. When you say generic off-brand, I don't know if you're talking about CBCS or DGC, but he's
talking about it all.
Yeah.
So that's my number 4.
Right on. Well, number 3 for me is 100 issues after one of the ones that you showed, and that is Spectacular Spider-Man number 101.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Best negative space cover.
Yeah. It's absolute beauty. Another one of my C2E2 prize submissions that Kavi got to see me haul around in a backpack for a ridiculous amount of time.
I did, yeah.
And another book pressed by DS. Very, very cool on that. And man, and I recently read the story because I never, this was a cover buy for me. And the book starts with Spider-Man trying to go to a bluegrass concert. And he's this takes place 12 years after, not in story time, but 12 real years after Mary Jane, or after Gwen Stacy died. And this whole book, he is struggling with the fact that Gwen Stacy is dead. And, he has to come to terms with that. And he has to help another person save their loved one. And it's a pretty cool story, actually. So it's just a good one-issue book. And but yeah, it's for me, it's my top negative space cover you could ever find.
Definitely. Like if we were doing a show specifically like your top 10 Spider-Man covers, I think that would make my list.
Absolutely.
For sure.
So, boom, there we go. Now, Don Dotta, we're on to your number 3.
All right. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint TJ with an off-brand, slabbery service here, but I picked this book up on the cheap as a steal, frankly, early this year in earlier 2020. And now all of a sudden there's a whole lot of noise about this character returning to Spider-Man movies and such. So we're talking about ASM 3.
Yes.
First appearance of Doc Ock.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Even if it's in a knockoff.
Exactly.
Hell yeah, dude.
You know, I was like, okay, which Rogue's first appearance makes my top 10? You know what I mean? And I went back and forth between this and Rhino. Like, should I include Rhino? Should I include this? Should I include Rhino? Should I include this? I don't have an ASM 14 Green Goblin. I'd love to have that. Might add that to my collection at some point. And if I did, that would arguably make it. But right now, this is my sort of big book as far as Spider-Man villain first appearances, for sure. First appearance of Otto Octavius.
Absolutely. Very good book, man.
Yeah.
Good job. All right. Here's my number 2. Book I picked up raw at a comic shop. Another book I had pressed by DS, submitted at C2E2. I've got my Ultimate Fallout number 4.
Oh, yeah.
First appearance of Miles Morales, origin of Miles Morales. Just a book I'm proud to have and own. And I know when a book blew up earlier this year, I can tell you it never even crossed my mind to sell this book, because I could have sold it for, probably about, $1,000 to profit at one point. But I would want the book back, and then I would have to pay way more for it than I originally did. So I'm happy to have it in my collection at the low price that I got it in. And hell yeah, man.
That's awesome, dude.
And I just got done playing the Miles Morales Spider-Man game on PS5, and my Miles hype is like through the roof right now. So
you had that number 10 book was the PS4 Spider-Man suit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're super into that universe, it seems.
I am. No, it's a lot of good stuff there.
Okay, so this is number 2, right? I didn't lose track.
Okay. Number two.
Okay, so my number 2 is, I guess, my cover pick. This is unqualified my favorite, my individual personal favorite Spider-Man cover. And it's the Spectacular Spider-Man magazine from the Silver Age, issue number 2. So predates the Spectacular Spider-Man ongoing title. It's a Silver Age magazine. And for the second issue, the first issue was black and white on the interior. The second issue was in full color on the interior. Both covers are great, but to me, the number 2 cover just totally boxes the number 1 cover. To me, this is like the greatest John Romita Sr. painted work. Like, it's just my favorite Spider-Man cover, period. I freaking love this cover. And this is a 9/8 white pages from 1968 in a magazine size. So yeah. I love this freaking book. I almost made this number 1 and shocked. I guess that would have shocked people if I had this at number 1, but it's at number 2. And much like other books in my collection, it was, so nice I had to have it twice kind of thing. This was actually my first copy. It's a really high grade raw copy. I think it might come back a 9.2 to 9.4, but this is the guaranteed 9.8. right here. So yeah, I love that book quite a bit.
We'll talk backstage on ways where you could slim that down to only having one of them.
We'll see. We'll see.
But hey, I'll tell you, earlier in when you showed the ongoing the ongoing number one, it hit me that you had that book in your collection, and I was like, oh, can't wait to see that book. I love that. So
yep.
All right, so my number one Spider-Man book in my collection, it was I think I kind of had the same logic on this that you did with your Punisher book. It's one of my all-time favorite books in my collection, and it kind of crosses into another fandom for me of Scarlet Spider, but this is the first appearance.
Oh, right. Yes.
Of the Spider clone.
I should have predicted that, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I had a feeling it was going to be in your top 5, but
yeah.
As the list went on, I was like, wait, that one hasn't come out yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, and if you ever get to read this book, it's a good story. I've
read it. Yeah.
It's more of a Spider-Man story. It's not about the clone makes an appearance and they do a little tango in there, but it's about Spider-Man, but it does have my Ben Reilly ass flavor in it that eventually got retconned into being Scarlet Spider.
Right.
But this is a book that came out in the same year as Giant Size X-Men, and it is in a 9.8 white pages. And you can thank Boy Who Had 7 for me getting this one. He shamed me to no end about settling for a 9.4 copy. So I eventually did, and I'm glad I have it, man. Like it's one of the biggest, most important books.
I think settling for a 9.4 copy on that book is a different conversation than settling for a 9.4 copy on ASM 129, though.
Correct. Absolutely. Very, very, very true. But yeah. So I bet you your 9.4 costs more than my 9.8 here. So
yeah. But
this is my number one book in my collection of D's top 10.
Oh yeah, dude. That's a solid top 10 for sure, man. I think. I mean, I was pretty well aware of what books you have, obviously, because we're buddies and everything. But yeah, man, that's awesome. I like that top 10 quite a bit.
So for people commenting here real quick on me only including the one Ben Reilly, my Scarlet Spider top 10 list will be a different episode.
Right.
I need to find someone worthy of that list. And I love Don Dotta, but it ain't him.
Yeah, I'm not a Scarlet Spider collector.
Yeah, so if you're out there somewhere, you hit me up, and we'll get you in that list of the top 10 Ben Reilly books. But I'm just going to full screen you here. You're up, sir. Number one.
All right, so I think, for those of you that know me, this is fairly predictable, but, I started out my top 10 with my, I guess, trickier to explain Amazing Fantasy 15 at the number 10 spot. But here's my baby, my complete 2.5 CGC graded. Also in the, the Spider-Man, as you remember, I got these both reholdered with the new Spider-Man label. But yeah, that's it. I don't know what else to say because I've already talked about AF-15 earlier. I mean, this is my mega grail, if you will. In addition to that book up there, TMNT number 1 first print, I would say that those are my 2 mega grail books. And obviously, this is my number 1 Spider-Man book in my collection. So
for those that watched your weekend with Jeffrey, know what you had to go through with this, but how nerve-wracking was that to leave that book with, it's reputable as hell, but you still had to leave it with someone.
It was scary as hell.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest, I've never felt more nervous about having books out of my possession for any reason whatsoever. Like, that was the single most nerve-wracking. And it only took them like 2 weeks or less to, reholder it and get it back to me, obviously, because it's a high dollar value books or whatever. But yeah, it was definitely nerve-wracking for sure.
Hell yeah. All right, well that's our top 10. So we're gonna real quick here. I'm gonna flip me around.
Should we do a quick recap of those lists for the latecomers, or should we just get into honorable mentions and they can catch it on the rewind?
Yeah. Tell you what, let's put you full screen. You hit your. Tell you what, I'm gonna go full screen. I'm gonna do my recap and then my honorable mentions.
Okay.
You can do your recap and honorable mentions.
All right, perfect. Yeah, speed. Let's do it. Speed, quick.
All right. So, number 1, we had ASM number 129 and 9.8. Number 2, I had my first appearance of Miles Morales in a 9.8. Ultimate Fallout number 4. Number 3 in my list was Spectacular Spider-Man number 101, one of the best negative space covers ever. Number 4 in my list was ASM 361. With that sweet Carnage label. First appearance of Carnage. We had Secret Wars number 8, the origin of the black suit Spider-Man. Then we had Ultimate Spider-Man number 1, second appearance of Miles Morales. Love that cover.
Oh yeah.
Then we had ASM number 33 and a 7.5. All of my books, TJ, were in CGC. I hope that makes you happy. Then we had ASM number 121, Death of Gwen Stacy. Then we had ASM number 100, where he grew some extra arms. Pretty cool.
You're doing these in reverse order, just for everyone.
Yeah, and then my number 10 is Spider-Geddon number 1, which is an homage to some of my books that are in my honorable mention. I had to do some brute strength to get these over here. So here are my honorable mentions. Spider-Man number 1, Todd McFarlane cover.
Nice.
Just a classic cover. Absolutely love that. I actually love this one a little bit more. This is the black suit version of it, also done by Todd McFarlane. Love that book. Dude, this is a book I just unboxed yesterday. Got it from Elite Comics. Love this one.
Oh, yeah. I love that negative space cover.
Yeah, another very, very cool negative space. It's number 379 out of 2,500. Very, very cool book to have. This one almost made my top 10. If it wasn't that PS4 cover, it would have been Spider-Man Adventures number 1. Cool. This is based off the animated series, and
super cool.
I love the glossy embossed cover. And yeah, man, just a really cool book. Almost put in first in there, which, I always give big props to Kenny, Comic Kid 84, told me to get this book. And I was able to get it for just under $100, and just before it blew up. And
nice.
So got that right in the nick of time. And then this one is Web of Spider-Man number 100, signed by Alex Saviuk.
Yep.
And classic shiny cover, 9.8 CGC. And looking forward to getting this one reholstered here in the near future. So
super cool, man.
Yeah. So that is recap of my list and my honorable mentions.
Recap of my top 10 list. Number 10, Amazing Fantasy 15. 25. Number 9, Marvel Team Up 111, Western Pen Pedigree copy. My only Pedigree collection comic, I guess.
Pedigree?
What's up?
Pedigree.
Number 8, Spider-Man number 94, John Romita Jr. Spidey book, signed by Stan Lee, verified signature. My sentimental pick related to the passing of somebody that meant a lot to me. That was 8, right? Number 7 was Spectacular Spider-Man #1, the first book in the ongoing series at a 9.8 white pages. So that's that Bronze Age, the beginning of the Bronze Age title. Number 6 was ASM 42 in an 8.5. First appearance of Mary Jane in cameo. Face It Tiger. You just hit the jackpot. Number 5, ASM 129. First appearance of the Punisher, 9.4. Number 4, first Doctor Doom crossover. First appearance of Doctor Doom outside of the FF title. ASM number 5 and a 4.0. Number 3, ASM number 3 in the 3 spot. First appearance of Doc Ock. Number 2, right? Number 2, Spectacular Spider-Man magazine number 2, 9.8 white pages. My favorite all-time Spider-Man cover by John Romita Sr. Just a classic cover. And to have a book in this nice condition from the Silver Age just blows my mind to have. So that's my number 2.
A beautiful book.
I love that book, man. I honestly almost went with it as the number 1 choice, but it would have been, I think people would have called me an idiot or whatever for that. But and then number 1. So bookending that top 10 with my grails here for Spider-Man. And honorable mentions. Let me, I got a pile over here. Sorry, bear with me. All right. Trying to get through these as quickly as I can. I don't want to take up too much time. All right, honorable mentions. ASM 298, Todd McFarlane, first McFarlane work on ASM, and first appearance of Eddie Brock.
Very cool.
Love that book. This is probably, one of my favorite, I guess, newer Spider-Man books in the fact that it's an amazing sketch cover from Ryan Otley, but I didn't want to include any sketches or art in the top 10 because that's too, one-off, or specific.
Yeah.
Not a book that everybody can get, obviously.
It's how you put your list.
Yeah, exactly. I alluded to it earlier that my honorable mentions would have this book, Ultimate Spider-Man #1, because I love that run. It's one of my favorite runs.
I love how big his eyes are on the cover.
What? Oh, yeah.
I love how big his eyes are on the cover.
Dude, Bagley was just killing it, Yeah. I also kind of teased this earlier that I almost went with this as my sentimental pick, ASM 36 from Volume 2, the post 9/11 issue. This one is signed and sketched by Mark Bagley and Scott Hanna. So, love that. I mentioned books signed by Stan earlier.
Welcome, man. Sorry we didn't see you earlier.
What's up, June? Sophia? I mentioned books signed by Stan earlier. I showed you that Spider-Man 94 as my sentimental pick in the top 10, but I almost went with this one instead. This is another copy of Amazing Fantasy 15, but it's the True Believers, and it's signed by Stan Lee, 9.8 white pages. So that's an honorable mention. This one is an honorable mention because I honestly almost didn't even include it in honorable mentions because it's just a page, it's not a book. But it's the first page of Amazing Fantasy 15. So in a slab. So this is this is a one-off page of the page 1 splash and then the page 2 story on the back of the first interior appearance of Peter Parker. So there's the first time you see him as Peter Parker.
Very cool.
So that's an honorable mention. Another honorable mention, I mentioned it earlier, ASM 41, first appearance of the Rhinos. The Rhino, one of my other favorite Rogues villain. Had to then follow that up with issue 43, which is not only a Rhino-related key, it's first full Rhino, I believe. Or maybe it's second. No, it's first. Yeah, it's second, I think. Second full, maybe. I'm not sure. But it's also first full Mary Jane, right? The issue after this is the issue right after Face It Tiger, You Just Hit the Jackpot. So 7-0. So honorable mention there. Man, it was hard not to put this in my top 10.
Woo.
It was hard. So first Kingpin, another amazing cover from Romita Sr. That's an honorable mention. I saw some people mention it in the chat, no 300. So, no 300 in my top 10, but in my honorable mentions for sure. It was one of those that I debated. Maybe if I had it in a 9.8 or a 9.6, it would have been a stronger consideration for my top 10. Still love the book, Still had to have it at 9.4 because I paid almost nothing for it compared to what these books are going for now, So I'm happy to own it. I'm cool with the 9.4 for the collection for the time being, especially given where prices for that book are now. I'm not going to pay those prices. And then final honorable mention, ASM 361, which you had in your top 10, and I mentioned would be an honorable mention for me in a 9.6. So, of course, had to mention my guy, Carnage, in the honorable mentions. And then just real quick before you do the giveaway, I saw some jokes in the chat from JP about me having like 10 copies of AF-15. I mean, that's not technically true, but I do have a whole bunch of other reprints. This is the German reprint. I got the German reprint in the 9.4. It's got this cool background. This is the Marvel Milestone edition. This is the Toy Biz reprint from 2001. This is the DVD movie insert edition from the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man DVD. This is a newspaper reprint that was included in like actual physical newspapers at some point. See how it says not for resale on it. This is the True Believers, not signed by Stan Lee. I showed the signed by Stan Lee earlier. And then here's the facsimile that came out, a year ago or whatever?
Hell yeah, dude.
The Marvel facsimile. And then here's that book that I showed from the interior or whatever at the front. So I think I got maybe 12 or 13 different copies of AF-15, but only 2/3 if you count the page 1 of the real book. So that's where I'm at.
Hell yeah. Hey, real quick here, I forgot to show the 2 books that were behind me. Thank you to Mr. Did I Win himself for pointing it out.
Oh yeah.
I love my Spider-Geddon #0 with it's Secret Wars 8 homage, signed and remarked by Jamal Campbell. So that's a cool book right there. And then my main man Cave sent me this. This is the Steve Ditko T-shirt variant cover, which also in my honorable mentions. So
awesome, man.
Well, this is hard to do.
Well, this was both fun and extremely challenging, but I don't know. It was good. It was a fun exercise,
Absolutely.
So.
All right. So now, real quick here, we have a giveaway to do, and then we're gonna let you all get back to your lives. We're gonna randomize that Spider-Man booth mystery box that I just got in the mail the other day.
Yep.
So for anyone that would like an opportunity to get that Spider-Man booth mystery box, all you got to do is type into the chat D's nuts, and you can have your own Spider-Man booth mystery box. Let's wait. Now we're gonna.
I put a starting line. I put
you put it in there. Perfect.
Right. Now with D's nuts.
Perfect. Kavi, you read them off to me as they come in.
Yep. You got Bake the Snake. You got Spidey fan.
Oh. Spidey fan.
You got JP.
JP.
You got Daymares.
Daymares.
You got Unruly Simeon.
Unruly.
You got Sam I Am.
I'm typing BFF.
You got collectible, paper.
Paper.
You got SoCo, Southern Comic Geek.
Dude, I'm putting SoCo.
Yep, way easier. Kachoo.
Kachoo. All right.
84.
84.
Man Cave, but he's teasing you a little bit by saying D's Little Nuts. But we'll get
it. Man Cave is in.
Ron.
Ron. Save me on some AA shipping.
Okay. I don't see any other D's nuts in the chat. Maybe we'll give him a little bit here.
Give it another 30 seconds.
Okay, we got Gorkus. I'm not sure. Gorkous. Gorkus.
That would also save me some shipping.
Oh, he's a local. Okay, cool.
Yes. He is my original host for or co-host.
Oh,
comics.
What's up, dude? I watched those videos back in the day.
Yeah. So
no, sorry, just kidding.
But yeah, let's go ahead and put it in an end line here in 10.
And I'm gonna put end nuts. There you go.
End nuts. And that's it. Cut it off. Cut those nuts off.
All right. We're good.
Boom. Man Cave, settle the fuck down.
So are you spinning 10 times, or how's this gonna work?
No. Give me a number, and then I will shuffle it that many times, and then spin it once.
Okay, let's go with 7. That's been the theme here. Yeah. So let's go with 7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then we spin.
All right, here we go. Who's gonna be the winner? Is it going to be paper by a nose? It is.
Oh, save me on some shipping, baby.
Save me on some shipping. JP is a little bit disappointed, though. Damn. Wow. What a dramatic finish.
Awesome. Well, everyone, paper, we already know each other. We'll reach out and we'll do something to get you that box.
JP's like, no.
Oh, dude, it was so I would love to have given it to JP as well. So, hey, look.
He did win.
He did win. BFF swooped in here with the line of the night. He did win.
He did win.
That's a beautiful, beautiful end of the story here. Everyone, I appreciate you for tuning in to the first ever D's Top 10. Featuring my good friend Comic Books NYC. Kavi, do you have anything coming up here on your channel?
Thanks for having me, dude. It was a blast. I always like being the first guest on these brand new shows, like I said up top, so that you guys can just work out all the kinks, and everybody else gets to ride that wave of success or popularity
paving the way
from that point. And then I have to take legal action and retroactively get my royalties every time.
I'm looking forward
it's just a minor inconvenience for me. But it is what it is. So no. Let's see. I think I'm pretty much gonna be a little bit quiet here for the rest of 2020. I might do another episode of my Star Wars haul show that I started, where it's like all my Star Wars collectibles I've been saving and not putting them in other haul videos and stuff. So I could just do, here's everything Star Wars that I've been picking up, whether it's toys, figures, comics, books, video games, because there's a lot more different things I collect when it comes to the Star Wars world, right? So I might do another one of those episodes later this week or over the weekend or something. We'll see. I think other than that, I might make an appearance on the Kachung and Delphia this Saturday night giveaway, mystery box giveaway thing that they're doing on their channel. So I might show up there. And then December 30th, 2020 will be, I guess, my last official show for 2020. And that is going to be the anniversary show of Original Art Hour, because that will be the anniversary of the day that I did the first episode with J Hood Creative December 30th. So, and that'll be an open invite to all the previous guests. So, you're welcome to come back, and everybody else who's been on the show, welcome to come back. We'll talk about what we learned about collecting art this year. We'll show maybe our top art pickups of 2020 on that. Like maybe everybody who shows up shows their brings their like top 2 art pickups of the year. So that it's not overload or whatever. But that'll be a fun one. And then that'll be sort of it for the year. And I'm still kind of figuring out what the hell I'm doing next year with the channel and whatnot. But I am like 30-something subs away from 1,000. I am aware of that as of today, that I'm getting close. So
obviously, hey, Zach, sub up to my man Comic Books NYC here. His channel is in the description. But yeah, everyone else here would be subscribed to you already.
Probably.
Yeah. But Zach, if you weren't, please give my man a subscribe. I'll make sure he subscribes back to you, because he's got Zach has a little YouTube channel now where he
cool.
custom Red Dead Redemption characters that look like other fictional characters. It's nice. Pretty cool, and they're like little easy watches too. So it's
Sweet.
You're not taking up too much time. But as for me, I might do a show next week. It's getting kind of close to Christmas. We'll see what happens with that. But if not, we'll be back the week after, and then you'll see me on the original Art Hour anniversary show, and then sometime before the end of the year, I'll do a top 10 pickups of 2020. So,
I'm working on that too. I just haven't had the chance to film it, Yeah.
So, but yeah. Hey, I appreciate you all for tuning in. It's my first ever ongoing show, and I'm excited for it. So, Hey, everyone, y'all have a good night. Kavi, say something.
Put this show in a slab, brother.
These nuts.